How's it going, everyone? It's time for, yes, another fun edition of Where's the Deals, the series where I go on the Facebook Marketplace in search for good, bad, and, yeah, of course, horrific video game listings. I don't have a specific theme for this episode. I'm just going to see what's going on in the world of Facebook these days. So with that, let's start off this episode with a small PS2 game bundle. This at first glance you might not think is a great listing, but I knew right off the bat that this is worth way more than 20 bucks. First off, that Code Veronica is the 5th anniversary edition that has the Devil May Cry demo disc, and this is valued roughly around 20 bucks alone. That Harvest Moon game, which I personally love, is another title with some value behind it, being around 15 bucks. And the SmackDown vs. Raw game, while not as valuable and as good as the iconic Here Comes the Pain WWE game, it's still worth, again, around 15 bucks. Also, a Black Label Resident Evil 4 is worth over $10. It's a great listing, and I could definitely see a lot of people bypassing this without realizing what's actually here. This next listing, the games are priced individually, which normally I avoid like the plague, but in this instance, the games are mostly around 5 bucks or below, and there's quite a few titles that I wouldn't mind grabbing for the price. I would have liked to have seen what those sold games were, but no big deal. Anyway, there is some great stuff here, like Dying Light for 2 bucks, Burnout Paradise Remastered for 3, Days Gone for 4, and a few others. There's plenty of great titles here for cheap, and honestly, if it were me, I would ask what this guy wants for everything. Considering he states that he's just trying to get rid of them, you're more likely to score a pretty great deal if you were to bundle everything, and just simply ask. Here we have an N64 bundle. You get the console with 2 controllers, one of which is aftermarket, and then 4 games. It's weird, the N64's price has fluctuated heavily over the past 6 years or so. Normally you can find a system easily around maybe 40-50 bucks. And nowadays, depending on the condition and if it comes with cords and a controller or 2, you're looking at prices anywhere from 50 bucks to around 100. I've seen a few recently sell for $90, and that's just for the console with no games. It's strange, really. But anyway, the games here, obviously the big one is Mario 64, an amazing game, which goes without saying, but that one there is worth around $40. The rest I don't believe hold any value. I mean, Hey You Pikachu is another oddball one that I've seen sell for as little as 3 bucks and as high as 20, even without the microphone. So yeah, I don't really understand the value behind that game. Regardless, this is an okay deal if someone were just getting into N64 gaming. Can you find a better N64 bundle? Yeah, more than likely I'm sure you can, but nowadays you're really gonna have to work for it. Here's another small bundle. This one's a PS1 game bundle for $35. As soon as I saw this listing, my eyes lit up. Legend of the Dragoon is not a cheap game anymore. Years ago, I've seen this game sell for maybe like 15, 25 bucks max, but nowadays, this game, even the greatest hits version, sells for around 40 to 50 bucks. The Black Label version, which is significantly harder to come across, I've seen sell for 75 bucks and up. Final Fantasy VIII is another game that caught my eye. Now, this game, even the Black Label copy, is not nearly as valuable as a Legend of Dragoon, but it's still worth around 20 bucks. And I love this game. It's, one of my favorite Final Fantasies of all time, and honestly, one of my favorite RPG games of all time. So those 2 games alone are worth more than double what the seller is asking for. The rest are just an added bonus. This has gotta be one of the most ratchet carts of GoldenEye 007 I have ever seen, and this dude wants 24 bucks for it. I mean, why? You can find a GoldenEye in great shape for the exact same price, no problems, sometimes even cheaper. I can't fathom why someone would ever pay 24 bucks for this, or even $10 for that matter. Waluigi's Taco Stand. I don't know what this homebrew thing is, but the cart is just one of the best things I've ever seen. This is a listing for an Atari flashback console, which is, one of those plug-and-play type deals with a variety of games installed on the thing. This one here sold for $20, which, that's totally fine since it's complete in the box. These flashback consoles, they're alright, but they suffer from one major issue that can be remedied. The problem is that the controllers are wireless, but not the good kind of wireless. They're usually ones with infrared, notorious for being unreliable and unresponsive. The nice thing is, you can actually plug in Atari controllers or even Sega Genesis controllers to use those instead. Outside of the whole controller issue, these consoles are okay if you are new to Atari and want to get a general idea of how the games are, instead of having to spend a lot of money for a similar experience. Alright, so $5 a pop for these PS3 games. Not surprised at all that Valkyria Chronicles is already sold. It's a great deal for that price. The rest of the games, there's some good stuff here. I wouldn't mind grabbing XCOM, Force Unleashed, Darksiders 2, and The Darkness 2, as well as a couple others. Of course, when you are thinking about buying multiple games here, it's always a good idea to ask if you can get a cheaper deal. It never hurts to ask, as long as you're being friendly and respectable about it. Like I've said this before, but if the seller has games that are like $10 each, don't sit there and offer $2 for them. It's extremely insulting, regardless if the seller is overpricing their stuff. For $5, I wouldn't be saving a whole lot depending on the game, but if I did bundle maybe 5 or 6 games, I might be able to turn a price from $25 to $30 down to $20 or less with bundling. It's possible, but you'll never know unless you try. This is another one of those listings that I almost bypassed because I didn't really see anything of interest, but then my eye got caught on Obscure Aftermath, a game that I very, very rarely ever come across. The game alone is worth around $15, but not only that, you also have Animal Crossing City Folk, a roughly $20 game, so you have $35 in value with these two games. Those Just Dance games, for whatever reason, do have some sort of value behind them, being worth around $8 to $15. Are you getting a good deal with this? Yeah, in terms of value, but the main thing here is whether or not you care about the games included. Oh man, Okage Shadow King. I know this listing is just for the case and possibly the manual, doesn't really say, but I love this game. It's so underappreciated, and it's such a hidden gem of an RPG game for the PS2. I don't know one other person in my personal life, or even friends of mine online, who have even heard of this title. I love the creepy, dark, almost Tim Burton-like art style. The story is well put together, and the gameplay is a lot of fun. More fun than I think people give credit for. The game itself is worth around $20 to $30, depending on the condition, and it really is not easy to come across, at least by me. But thankfully I do own a copy of this game myself, and I would absolutely recommend for anyone to check it out if you do enjoy kind of strange, obscure RPG games. This is insane. $20 a pop for any of the Call of Duty titles. I can't tell you the last time I've seen any of these games sell for $20 in used condition. I mean, it's been many years. I see every single one of these titles, and a bunch of them at that, at GameStop or Disc Replay for $5 and under, and they're just so easy to come across. I don't know what kind of drugs this guy's on or what's going on in this dude's head to think that any of these Call of Duty titles are worth $20, but man, that is just crazy. I've seen this listing a couple times in the past few months and bypassed it. Originally, the guy wanted $100, but has since dropped it to $60. Doesn't really specify if any of the box titles are complete with the manual, but he does state that he is the original owner, which is kind of cool, I guess. At first, I didn't think this listing was really worth much of anything, but then I realized there's a game up top there called Twin Cobra Desert Attack Helicopter. And that game is hard to find in complete condition, and it's worth around 65 bucks, believe it or not. Altered Beast is another standout that's worth around 20, maybe 25 bucks, give or take. The rest of the games, I really don't know the value of them, but you are definitely saving quite a bit of money on buying this listing. The question is whether or not you decide to possibly sell the rest of the games to make your money back, or even profit from this, or maybe just keep them all to add to your collection. Regardless, this is a good listing at the end of the day. Alright, so this is going to be the very last listing in today's video. Here we have 33 PS3 games, $5 a pop, or everything for $100, and he even says there's like a best offer type deal. So, in the event you were to buy everything for $100, you're looking at about $3 a game, which isn't really that bad. But if you were to offer $80 for everything, the games would end up costing you about $2.42 a game. For that price, you might consider buying the whole lot, because there's actually a lot of great stuff here, and even games that aren't easy to come across, like the 2 Overlord titles, the Far Cry compilation, Wanted Weapons of Fate, and one of my favorite horror games for the system that no one talks about, Condemned Bloodshot. Some of the games here, like the ones I just mentioned, are worth a hell of a lot more than just a few bucks. Like Condemned 2 is about 15, the Overlord titles are worth around 12, and that Far Cry compilation is again worth around 12. This bundle here is riddled with great games, and it would be an excellent deal for a collector or really anyone that's getting into PS3 games in general. So if it were me, I wouldn't bother buying just a couple games. I'd end up just snatching up the whole lot and selling the duplicates. Yeah, some of the games like Medieval Moves and Sports Champions I might sit on for a while due to how common and really how worthless they are, but I'd be more than confident I'd be able to at least make my money back on the games that I would end up selling. So that's going to wrap up this video, everyone. Some good stuff this time around and not a whole lot of bad. Yeah, that Call of Duty listing was kind of hilariously bad, but in general, I didn't find a lot that were like laughably bad listings on the marketplace. I have been seeing more people individually price their games, and I usually never click on them, so I'm sure I'm missing out on some really, really dumb prices. Maybe in the future I'll do a special on just outright terrible listings if people want to see something like that, but in the meantime, everyone, thank you so much for watching. As always, take care, and I will see you next time.